why I'm a fair weather fan. I'm Tony, welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Who came to play? Got a whole squad full of soldiers. Ooh, you're making my day. I love when they run from me. They don't want one-on-one with me. I'm bringing the smoke to your house, get it sizzling.
So I wouldn't consider this to be a main video on this channel. It's not really basketball centric, though I will weave basketball into this video. It's more of a video so that you guys can get to know me a little bit better and get to understand like my thought process, how I think, and how and why I make the kind of videos that I do. So we should probably start with what a fair weather fan is, aka a bandwagon fan. So those kind of fans, we support teams, we cheer teams or players when they're doing well, but then when they are not, when they're struggling, we don't really pay attention to them at all. We don't really care. The opposite of that are the hardcore fans, the ride or die fans who support a team or a player no matter if the player or team's being successful or if they're struggling. Those hardcore ride or die fans watch those teams or players no matter what, every minute, every game they play. So let's talk about why I am a fair weather fan and why I think, at least for me, it makes sense to be so. First of all, a little background on me. I didn't grow up watching sports, at least as a little kid. When I was a little kid, my thought process was I played sports, but I didn't watch them because my mindset was, if it's noon on the weekend, why would I want to watch other players I don't even know? Why would I want to watch them play a sport when I could be playing it myself? It wasn't until I started learning basketball, understanding, studying basketball, that I also started watching sports, basketball, football on TV. But even then, I wasn't watching for entertainment. I was watching to study those teams, those players, those coaches, to understand what made them the best in the world, so that I could then use that knowledge to help make me the best athlete I could then be. And you know, sports fans, we're supposed to, in general, we're supposed to root for the teams that are closest to us. And I'm in southeastern Michigan, so I'm supposed to support all of the Detroit teams, which is of course unfortunate because most of the time, most of the Detroit teams are terrible. And keep in mind, professional sports, even college sports, is supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to entertain you. So why would I want to watch bad teams play bad at their sport? Because that's bad entertainment. And I'm not much of a baseball guy, so I don't really follow the Tigers. That's good, because most of the time the Tigers are terrible. And I'm not much of a hockey guy, even though this is hockey town. When I first started watching sports in the late 90s and early 2000s, the Red Wings were amazing. They were great, but since then, they've not been very good at all, and because of that, I haven't been watching them either. I'm a little bit of a football guy. Not much, especially in the NFL, which is good because the Detroit Lions are notorious for being terrible, even with Barry Sanders, even with Calvin Johnson. The Lions are terrible, they're terrible entertainment. I'm glad that I don't watch them on a regular basis. However, I am a little bit more of a college football fan, because to me, professional football and professional football fans take the game so seriously, it kind of takes the fun out of it, whereas college football, maybe because it's a little bit of a younger crowd, to me it just seems more fun, it seems more like a party, it seems more enjoyable. So I like college football, just if for nothing else, the atmosphere of fun that seems to surround college football. And for me specifically, that means rooting for the University of Michigan football team. Thankfully, for most of the time that I've been watching them, they've been good. There's been a certain segment here and there where they have not been good, and that's been painful to watch, but for the most part, they have been a historically good, great football team. And then we come to basketball and the NBA. So when we start with that, we should probably start with Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan is the one and only player that I've ever idolized as a fan of the game. But the reason I idolized him was because when I watched him, I recognized his game, his passion, his enjoyment, his drive, his motivation in me. Like, I related to him because I felt like he, as being one of the greatest players of all time, he was as passionate about the game as I was. And he worked as hard as I did at the game. In fact, that's where I got my work ethic from, was from Michael Jordan. The difference being, of course, that he's 6'6" and massively talented, and I am not. But it was his passion, his work ethic, you know, wanting to be so good at the game, working so hard to be so good at the game. That's what I related to. That's why I idolized him. And thankfully, when I started watching basketball, he was in his second three-peat with the Bulls, so they were always good, so I could always watch them. And then we come to the Detroit Pistons. So I was too young when the original Bad Boy Pistons were running the league. You know, I was a kid and I was playing sports myself. I wasn't watching them, so I never really, you know, witnessed them firsthand. And then in the mid to later 90s, the Bad Boy Pistons got old, they disbanded, we rebuilt. Grant Hill comes in. He's a great player, but we don't really do anything special with him on the Pistons. He gets hurt, he goes to Orlando. We get Jerry Stackhouse. From that point on, it seemed like year after year it was 50 game, you know, wins a year, and we get to the first or second round of the playoffs and we would just lose, you know, easily in the first or second round every year. So I stopped watching during that period of time because it's like I knew what was going to happen every season. That was until Joe Dumars became the president of basketball operations for the Pistons, and we started getting better. We got Chauncey Billups and Ben Wallace and built a lineup around those guys, and then the Pistons started getting better and better, and I started watching again. And then we won the championship in '04, and that was beautiful. And then, you know, the Pistons, they got old, and, you know, Shaq left the Lakers to come over to the East and play with Dwayne Wade, and they won a championship, and LeBron James was in the same division as we were, and he was getting better and better, and the Pistons were getting older, and then, you know, we had to rebuild at some point. And since then, I just haven't really been watching them because they haven't been good. So that's my personal history with my, you know, sports fandom, and, you know, kind of how I approach viewing, you know, being a voyeur of sports media. So I love watching good quality sports because I'm fascinated with, you know, the human body and how the human body can perform athletically. And when you get, you know, a number of athletes together and they all play well and cohesively together, to me that's fascinating. But for me it all comes down to time spent, right? So I will spend my time watching good quality players or teams play good quality sports, but I will not watch the Detroit Lions get destroyed week after week, season after season, because that's a waste of my time. That feel like you have to earn my viewership. You have to earn my fandom. If you're good, I will watch you, I will pay attention to you, I will study you the better you play. But if you're bad, why? Why would I do that? Like, in society, we have this crazy, we've like twisted the idea of like pride and ego to the point where, like, for example, if a person is just born a certain way, they didn't earn being that certain way, they didn't accomplish being that certain way, they just were born that way. And some people just have way crazy pride about being born a certain way. For example, I'm Filipino, I'm Asian. Like, I'm glad and happy and proud that I'm Asian, but so what? It doesn't really matter. It's not like I earned being Filipino, I just happen to be so. So why would I have crazy pride in being Filipino when I just happen to be this way? When it comes to sports fans and their fandom, you could even consider it to be even worse because you actually choose your fandom. You choose who you want to cheer for and support. I'm surrounded by like Detroit Lions fans who love the Lions, but every year it's so frustrating to watch the Lions lose game after game after game. And it's one thing if like the team, any team in any sport, it's one thing if like they try really hard and they're a pretty good team, but they come up short more often than not. But they try really hard, they fight really hard. You know, it's very apparent that they put in the effort and the time to try to win. They just happen to come up short. That's one thing. It's a whole nother thing where you come to like the Detroit Lions level where they're just not good. I mean, this year, last year, the Lions have been that kind of, you know, hard fighting team, but for most of their history, the Lions have just been pathetic. And yet, year after year, game after game, fans just still watch them and support terrible football. Why would you waste your time doing that? The reason for that, going back to pride and ego, is because when these people, these fans, watch these teams, in their minds, they think to themselves, that team, that player, that's me. Like, I relate so strongly to that team or to that player that when that team or player does well, I do good, I do well. When they play bad, when they have a bad game, a season, oh, that's me as well, so I should be, you know, depressed now because players, billionaires that I don't even know, they lost, you know, a game, so now I have to be depressed because of it, because they are me and I am them. Do you see what I mean? How screwed up that is when it comes to pride and ego? That same principle can be used with the Michael Jordan versus LeBron argument, right? Because if I'm a Michael Jordan guy, but I don't think I'm him. Like, I don't, you know, when people talk trash, you know, LeBron fans talk trash about Michael Jordan, I don't internalize that as, oh, they said something bad about Jordan, that means they're saying something bad about me, so now I have to defend myself against them. No, it's just like, I like Jordan, I grew up with Jordan, I relate to Jordan, but he's not me and I am not him, so if you don't like him or if you think LeBron's better, that's fine, I don't care. So when it comes to fandom, like when it comes to LeBron, he's obviously one of the greatest players to ever play basketball. He's not for me, but I don't disqualify him just because he's not my guy. You know, crazy fans of any player go, that player is me, I'm him, I relate to him, don't say anything bad about him because you'll be saying something bad about me and then we have to get into it, and it's just such a waste of time. This is supposed to be entertainment, it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable. So for me, if I'm gonna spend 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours watching a game, then it better be good entertainment, because otherwise I got better things to do. So that's me and fandom and why I'm a Fairweather fan and why it makes sense personally for me to be so. This idea of ride or die fans who love their teams, love their players even when they're terrible because they're so loyal, and somehow that's such a noble thing to be and such a noble thing to do, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, my loyalty has conditions. Like, if you're not good to me, I'm not gonna give you my loyalty. That's in terms of sports and fandom and life. If like I'm not gonna waste my time with people that aren't going to be good to me. I want to watch sports for good entertainment. If you're not going to give me that, then I'm not gonna watch you. Back when I was watching the NBA to study it, I wanted good information. I wasn't watching like the bad teams play basketball in the NBA at that time because they were playing relatively bad basketball for an NBA team. Why would I want to study them? I want good information. I want good entertainment. If I'm not going to get that, I have better things to do, and I will do those other things. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know down in the comments like what you think. Do you think I'm a bad fan because I only pay attention when things are going good? Are you one of the ride or die fans? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your approach to sports fandom is. And if you liked this video, if you found it, helpful, at least to understand how my mind works and thus how I kind of, contribute to this channel because of it, then please subscribe to the channel. And make sure you hit that thanks button. When you hit that button, it not only does it highlight your comments down below and make them stand out, but it directly supports the channel. Anybody that does that, that's so amazing. Thank you so much. It really does mean something special to me. As always, like, share, hit that notification button so you're notified whenever any videos go live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
I remember my life at the bottom, silence, nothing but me and these problems, riding, pissing my mouth with the knowledge of knowing I'll probably end up forgotten. That's honest, that moment I made me a promise, they'll never be void in my heart or my wallet. I win and I flip my life over like omelet is solid. Now call me a king, that is my proper noun on everything. There is no common ground, can't even blink without having me finding out.